Today is January 1st, 2025, and I'm looking forward to an awesome year of Universus, starting off here in a couple weeks with the solo leveling challenger decks. I'm going to be doing a deck opening of these here pretty soon, probably in the next couple days. But before I start thinking about 2025 goals and all of the events that we're going to be playing in and the sets coming out, I wanted to take just a moment and recap my 2024 competitive history. So I played in, I think, about 20 competitive events, 15 to 20 competitive events. What were the decks that I played? How did I do? What were the ones I did really well? The ones that I did pretty terribly? I'm going to recap every single deck here, every single major competitive deck I played in. What was the deck list? What was the character? Why did I choose it? And you can see my thought process. I think I had a pretty diverse year in all of the characters I played and the different symbols I played. I definitely kind of stuck to the chaos symbol, starting with Murio and ending with Amajiki, and the void symbol, starting with Jin, going to Toya, and then finally to Rodan. So you'll see my kind of chaos deck evolution and my void deck evolution. But let's jump into it. You're also going to see, by the way, how I treat locals differently than major events. So I'm still trying to win my local qualifiers and my local championships, but I'm trying to have a little more fun in them and be a little and play a little less of like a try-hard deck. I'm trying to play like, you know, something that I can have a very enjoyable time playing with locals, but I can still, if I play well, conceivably win. So let's kick it off. My year started at the World Championship in February in Orlando. I qualified by making top 4 at Nationals last year in 2023. October 2023, I finished in 3rd place with good symbol Murio. So that qualified me for the World Championship. There was 32 players last year. They've since made this 64 players. I went with my family. We went and did Disney World the week before, and then I played in the World Championship, and I honestly played pretty poorly. I had one round where it was just terrible luck, and then another round where I just made like a brain fart move. It's kind of embarrassing. You can go watch my Worlds recap video if you're ever interested in any of these deck lists and seeing my thought process further. Chances are, if you look at my videos, that I've made a deck profile about them at some point. So this was Hawks. I was having a ton of fun with Hawks at the end of the My Hero only section of the game, because this would have been before Yu Yu Hakusho came out. It was after Worlds took place, after the Trigun and the Cowboy Bebop Challenger decks had come out, but they were not legal for Worlds. So it was still a MHA Spotlight World Championship. I played Hawks. I was playing like a Recipro Burst type list where I'm going to use Shock Treatment and take down your answer, or Electric Jolt and take down your answers for Recipro Burst. I'll play Recipro Burst. I'll play all these feathers. I'll swap the speed and damage and kill you that way. Or I could play a string of feathers using Feather Control to pick up the feathers, like Suited Up. Feather Storm to help get the damage up. I also had some solid Deadlock and Hero Killer, since all of the feathers are weapons. Indiscriminate Shock was just a classic order kill condition. This was before MHA Set 1 rotated, so you'll see Indiscriminate Shock 1.3 and Recipro Burst and Electric Jolt. These were MHA Set 1 cards that I was leaning very, very heavily on. And like Blood Moon Rending, like the OG Tri-Gravity Beam is what I think of it as. So this was a pretty fun list. I made kind of a boneheaded play that caused me to not get top 16 and finish in 23rd. What can you do? So moving on to the actual 2024 organized play cycle. My first local qualifier was in Midland. Now, I live basically in Lubbock, a little outside of Lubbock, but we'll just call it Lubbock. So Midland is 2 hours to the south. But I drove down. There was 9 of us there, 4 Midland players and I think 5 players from Lubbock that drove down. And I ended up winning with Spike Bounty Hunter. And I was playing this like water, all highs package, working with Falling Skies, but where I was flipping things with Spike, and I could flip my entire stage just on a whim. Fast Friendship can flip, Weightless can flip, Struggling can flip, Failed Role Model flip, Beneath the Armor to force a flip, Weapon Clash, build it another face down. So I could very quickly ramp up Spike to getting that +3/+3 or +4/+4 when I was ready to go in for the kill. But because of like Invisible Infiltration, Falling Heel Strike, Fallen Angel's Revenge, I could also unflip things and play a pretty control water type list until I was ready to go in for the kill. So it was pretty defensive with cards like Weapon Clash, Fast Friendship, Ice Gliding, Surviving the Final, Referee Jury, Idun Box. This was when Yu Yu Hakusho had just came out. Spike was a character that I was pretty interested in from the Bebop Challenger deck, and a lot of these Yu Yu Hakusho cards I felt like unlocked them. I was very, very excited to use foundations like Weapon Clash and assets like Idun Box, actions like Referee Jury. So ended up taking first at this event. This was my first championship points in the system. Going on, we had a webcam regional. This it was supposed to be the first of 4 of these things, but it turned out to be the only webcam regional of the year. In March, there was 104 players. I did make top 8. I ended in 7th place. I lost in round 1 of top 8 against a younger Toguro. What was his name? He's on the leaderboard. I lost to Trenton Caudill. There he is. He's on the leaderboard. I lost to Trenton in top 8. I was playing a Chaos Murio list. So I top 4 nationals in October 2023 with a good Murio list. But with the set 1 cards having rotated, the good symbol wasn't nearly as good, and Back Alley Haymaker being banned. So I wasn't quite... And then Yu Yu Hakusho gave us like Armor of the Wolf and what are the other things? He gave us Walk the Dog, Armor of the Phoenix, just a lot of very, very strong chaos cards for Amajiki and for Murio, Steaming Spheres power. So this was me kind of testing the water here with a character that I was very comfortable on. I think that's why I didn't go Amajiki here at the time. But you can see, and it's just Phantom Threat. I think Phantom Threat, when it's truly unlocked, is maybe the best attack in the game. Right now, I actually think Murio on the move is kind of crushing it with Phantom Threat. If you play, sorry, not Murio on the Midoriya on the move. Midoriya 6 basically is crushing it with Phantom Threat. So yeah, this list had a pretty good run, ended in top 8 out of 100 plus players. Okay, another local qualifier, another one in Midland. And this was my last one in Midland. It's kind of funny that both my first local qualifiers, I drove 2 hours to go to Midland, 4-hour, round trip. Just made it into a day trip. This time we had 10 players. I once again took it down, finishing in first place. But this time it was with Void Jin. And I actually don't have the deck list for this, because this was at the start of me testing out Jin. And as soon as he was revealed for Yu Yu Hakusho, I immediately said, that's the best character in the game. That's the best character in the game. And then younger Toguro got revealed like 2 days later. And it was like, well, maybe that's the best character in the game. And for a while, it did look like, Jin was kind of the natural answer to younger Toguro. As long as you could keep your card economy pretty high, Jin could just always block younger Toguro and just kind of completely take him out of the game. So that's why I was so interested in Jin at this time, was because this was a younger Toguro dominated meta. Yu Yu Hakusho had just come out. And so this was the start of my testings with Jin. But I don't have the deck list, because the deck list eventually became the deck list that I took to the Vegas regional. So then I had a local qualifier in early April in Lubbock. We had 11 of us, and I finished in 3rd out of 11. And this one I was playing with Amajiki. Basically, this was kind of a fun spin on Amajiki, but also kind of a continuation of me on the Chaos symbol. I had just started playing the Chaos symbol like Murio, switching from good to Chaos, and now I was switching from Murio to Amajiki. But I wanted, since I got to reveal Walk the Dog and Around the World, I really wanted to find a list that made Around the World a very strong card. So I was thinking about like Faye, maybe. Queen of Hearts is the best Around the World character, but I ended up playing Amajiki here. I was playing all the normal Amajiki cards. Now, this was pre-Black Abyss. Black Abyss had not come out yet. But I was playing all the normal Amajiki cards, but then I put in 2 Around the Worlds and 3 Walk the Dogs. Around the World was fun because I could add the Amajiki damage, maybe make this thing like a 15, 16 damage throw, and it could just end games. Or I discard a momentum, and I go grab Walk the Dog, and then Walk the Dog finishes the game. So it was fun. I also thought that Amajiki had a decent matchup into younger Toguro. Not a great matchup, not as good as Jin, but a decent one. Okay, and once again, I can't find the deck list for this because my Amajiki list ended up getting tweaked, and changed to my St. Louis regional list. Okay, so our first major regional was in April in Las Vegas. We had 107 players, and I finished in 22nd, and I was once again playing Void Jin. Void Jin was like the original Rodan, just the best speed control character in the game. He was held back by being a 6-hander. but you can cancel and enhance, which kind of reminded me of Todoroki 1, the first character that I had competitive success with. So anyway, here was the list. It was a very draw lots of cards so that we can play solid defense, but we're also kind of relying on our face for defense. I'm using a lot of my foundations to kind of overcome the lack of damage from Jin. So, and then also playing some of these echoes. Double Tornado Fist, Double Fist of the Mortal Flame. Flask had just come out, so I was using 4X Flask here. Flask Jin was a deck. I made a whole video on it that I was very, very excited about. So this one did pretty well for me, but I had a terrible matchup into Amajiki. Just a terrible matchup into Amajiki. And then I played 2 Amajikis, and 2 of the best players too, Barlow and Nate. So those 2 losses held me back. I felt like I had a free younger Toguro matchup. Ended up going 5-2-1 though. Didn't quite make top 8. Okay, coming back. This was like the very next week because this was late May. This was late April. This was early May. We had a local championship. I wanted to play something a little more fun. So I did not just play Jin again or Amajiki again. Instead, I went with Endeavor 3. But I was playing this like Bullet Punches Endeavor 3 deck. So Bullet Punches says it gets +1/+1 for each copy of Bullet Punches you've played. And then it has this in attack. If it was played from anywhere other than your hand, add a punch from your card pool to your momentum. So the idea for my list was, let's play Blue Flame Palm Strike or Double Fist of the Mortal Flame. We'll snag a momentum. We'll play Bullet Punches. We'll echo Bullet Punches. We'll put the Blue Flame or the Double Fist into our momentum. And then we could even use a card like Prehensile Tail to take it back to our hand and kind of do this loop thing. I was very curious. When Yu Hakusho first came out, I said Trace Eyes was the best card in the set. And I said that because I was nervous that Double Fist and Trace Eyes were too free of echoes. When Echoes first came out, the design team was very cautious with Echoes, and Double Fist and Trace Eyes were definitely the most powerful Echo attacks to be printed to date. So I wanted to play a deck where I was 4Xing both of these. I had a good time, but I finished in top 4. So only 3 championship points from this local championship. And looking back on it, do I regret not playing something a little more competitive and going for the 10 championship points? Maybe. But at the time, I just kind of wanted a break from a super serious competitive deck. So I played this silly Bullet Punches deck. And while it was silly, it was still quite strong. Okay, moving on to June. We had a local qualifier. And I finished in 4th place, and I played Kurama Yoko Unleashed with Super Grape Rush. So this was my first major event with Girl Power out, and Girl Power gave us Super Grape Rush, which said it gets -1 difficulty for each card in your rival's card pool. So with Kurama, I could very quickly have like 5 or 6 cards in my rival's card pool, and then Super Grape Rush is just free. It's 7 damage, which is pretty solid. Kurama struggles with adding damage and actually killing people. So it was the kill condition here. Here was the list. We're playing, Power of Yoko, Lizard Tail Splitter. I really wanted to try out this Big Fist Overhand Punch, this like combo with the mid attack where you look at the top 3 and you selectively draw one. Of course, we're playing like Rose Whip Barrage. Also, defensive 7-hander is kind of typically my style. I like to either play a defensive... My 2 styles in this game are ultra aggressive or super defensive 7-hander. Those are typically the 2 kind of things that I play. If I'm playing defensive, I typically like more cards in my hand. So here's Kurama. I lost in top 4 to my brother who was on Toga 3. Black Abyss Toga 3. Okay. Then we had in July a major regional. I only got to go to 1 qualifier this season because I got invited to the Content Creator Summit. I made a video on my experience there. And that ended up falling on the weekend of my local qualifier. So I missed a qualifier. Next up, major regional in St. Louis in July. We had 165 players and I finished in 6th place. And I was playing City Rampage Amajiki. So I played Murio earlier in the year, and then I played this like kind of silly walk the dog around the world Amajiki deck. And now I'm taking Amajiki, except instead of playing defensive with Amajiki, I'm just going as crazy as I can aggressive. I want to turn 2, turn 3, kill people. And now Godzilla had just come out. So I need to find a way to kill Rodan, to go over the top in speed and kill Rodan. And I found that Armor of the Wolf was a typically pretty good Rodan kill condition. Rodan would need a barrier shield to stop it, and then I could typically get the speed back up. And so a lot of times they would need 2 barrier shields to stop it. So here was my list, a pretty simple list. I'm going 4 Wolf, 4 Black Abyss, 4 Kraken, 4 Deception Dagger. Basically, I realized all of Amajiki's best cards are 5 difficulty attacks. So City Rampage should just unlock this. And it did. It is playing a pretty delicate balance of slams and weapons because I want Steaming Sphere's power to be online. So I've got a couple apes in there. So I've got 6 slams to make Steaming Spheres pretty consistent. And then I've got Deception Dagger, which gives stun to a weapon. So I need enough weapons. Black Abyss is a weapon. Walk the Dog was a weapon. So that gives me 9 weapons. It's just consistent enough. It's not the most ultra consistent thing with its keywords, but it's just enough. And City Rampage kind of puts a bow on it, and it just kind of works. And then we get to play cards like Monster Aggression, Strategic Meeting, Force Quirk Activation, just fill up our momentum. Had a great time, finished in 6th place. This was my best finish of the year. All right, local championship. I think like a week later. Local championship, we had 8 players. I finished in 2nd, and I went back to Endeavor 3, but this time I played a more classic Endeavor 3, and it was an Endeavor 3 that kind of looked like the pony list that had done well at St. Louis. So, I'm playing this Falling Skies high package with like Tetra Terror Onslaught, Electric Moth, Battle Aura Release, Hell Spider, but then I've got a lot of 1Xs in here just to have a good time. Risho's Meteor, because I can go, Hellflame Javelin, Canister Creation Strike. When the time is right, I can go and pick these things up with Endeavor 3's form. We get to play Quick Response, maybe one of my favorite cards in the game, just because your rival cannot go into deadlock, and I love having some serious deadlock pressure like Quick Response when I'm already giving speed, because now I'm giving everything speed, but I'm keeping you at 10 or fewer foundations to where it's very, very difficult to block everything that's coming at you. This was kind of the Earth Symbol's heyday. The Earth Symbol was extremely strong here, with Referee Jury and Falling Skies and Quick Response, and then Attack on Titan came out. Well, no. I've got one more event here before Attack on Titan comes out, but the rest of the story. We don't get any more Earth cards for the rest of the year. Okay. Final event before Attack on Titan comes out. It's just a monthly championship at my store. No championship points on the line. This isn't a local championship or a local qualifier, but, before those were a thing, Stormcrow always does like a store monthly championship. So we had 8 players and I finished in 1st with Void Toya. And I really wanted to play Toya because I love Hold Hostage. And this is a card that I think basically had seen no play since its release, and I think that it's very, very good, but it has to find a good home, and I felt like Void Toya was a very good home for Hold Hostage, because I can block for days. We have Dimensional Sphere that was out, Cape of No Return, Battle for Dominance can discard the hold or remove the Hold Hostage and then draw a card, so it's not clogging your card pool anymore. So this was a very, very defensive Void list. Kind of similar to my Jin list, but more defensive, more poke heavy, because every time I block, I'm forcing my rival to commit one. And then I loved getting to play repeated 100% smash here. Now I'm more punch focused, so the plummeting punches in for the deadlock threat, the rewind throttles, despite them being, just terrible damage. It's a pretty solid poke card. We got a hardened uppercut in here, so a much more punch heavy focus list, but I loved going like commit rifle arm for 3 speed on repeated, ready rifle arm with repeated type things. Definitely a list where I just want to survive for 7 or 8 turns. I'm going to find my spot. I'm going to sculpt to a kill hand and then make it happen. Okay. Then, first local qualifier post AOT. My local game store, Stormcrow, decided to do our local qualifiers as Attack on Titan Spotlight. This was before Attack on Titan Set 2 had come out, so Spotlight was pretty limited. You'll see that attendance drops for the Spotlight local qualifiers. It turns out Spotlight was not as popular as I expected it to be, and everybody was having a really hard time getting the cards because Attack on Titan was a 300 plus card set. So only 6 players, but I finished in first. And I did it with this Order Hans deck built around cards like Farewell Between Friends. Basically, how is Hans going to guarantee that his attacks with massive damage actually get through? Well, we're going to play these cards that say you're just not allowed to block them. So in the final round of this for the championship, I played against an Irwin. And Irwin was blocking everything, but between Farewell Between Friends, Play Fighting, Besiege, Unexpected Outcomes, I was able to find enough attacks that said you're not allowed to block this to where I was able to win. And actually what won me the last game was that I sided in, you can't see my sideboard in, but I sided in Waylay, and then they had tons of momentum and a vertical maneuvering, but I played the Waylay and got rid of all the momentum. That was a nice experience. Okay, local qualifier in September. Once again, Attack on Titan Spotlight. Once again, only 6 players, but I also finished in first again. And I did it with a 4-check tribal Reiner list, very focused on just stage advantage between Chomp and Ravages of War and Armored Titan attacks. I get to blow up your stage. Also cards like Final Words on the Foundation side. But also, I don't really have to block you because, one, Reiner has damage reduction on face, especially when he transforms with the momentum. And we get like Squad Mates Betrayal, Futile Attempts, Rocky Alliance, I'm With You. We get all of this damage reduction in the Spotlight format on Chaos and Death symbols. So this one ended up going quite well. Then I had the Major Regional in Atlanta, back to standard format. And here you see like the final evolution of my Void deck. I started out with Jin being kind of a defensive / offensive deck. Then Toya, like, okay, now we're a very poke heavy deck, take a little longer, play Hold Hostage. And then with Rodan, I finished in 28th out of 185 players. So once again, a top 32 finish here. But I was playing a mill deck with Rodan. So Hold Hostage removes a card from my rival's hand. Genkai's Guidance removes an attack. Cape of No Return removes an attack. Unexpected Outcomes removes an attack. Dimensional Sphere removes attacks. Confused removes attacks. Tri-Gravity Beam removes attacks. Lurker Strike, if I review an asset, and I'm playing 9 assets in an 86 card deck, so there's a pretty good chance that I can review an asset. Or if I lead with Titan Cliff, then the cards that I discard count as being reviewed, and then I can play a Lurker Strike, and that removes 2 cards, or 2 attacks from their discard pile. So basically, as Rodan, I will just survive for forever, and I will remove everything of yours. Smiling Titan was a very difficult matchup for this deck, so I had to have tons of Smiling Answers so that you see Cape and Barrier Shield, and the big one here was Dash Toward Disaster, playing 3 Dash Toward Disaster with like the Titan attacks, to where I could say -8, -10 speed, and still be able to get a couple blocks in, even against Smiling. I actually think that this deck is better positioned now without Smiling Titan, so I could see myself choosing to play Rodan for Nationals here in January and play like an upgraded mill list. I think that rather than thinking of this mill list as being like a finished product, I think you could see this as just the beginning. And it's part of the reason that I think Rodan is such a problem, because you should not have a character that can just say, I survive for forever, and eventually I'll remove all of your attacks and I'll just win the game. So 28th place here with Rodan, didn't quite top cut. Then came back, had a local championship in October. I finished in first out of 14 players, and I played Ezekiel Midoriya on the move, who transforms to Quirks Unleashed. I was playing a life list. I made a deck profile about this one. This deck, this was like the very first day it was legal, and I really wanted to play the new Midoriya, and I really wanted to play Fajin Flurry, where you just get to snap 6 or 7 momentum and go crazy. This deck looks a lot more complicated than it really is, because I was slamming tons of things in at a 1x just to test out how they feel. And I was trying this like asset heavy scrap cannon type thing here. Anyway, it was fun. Finished in first. Got pretty lucky on this one to finish in first, honestly, but made it happen. Then a local qualifier in November, and I finished in second place out of 12 players. And I went back to Reiner, but this time I was on standard, and AOT2 had just come out. So the greater goal was a foundation that I was very, very interested in making work. If you remember, my Spotlight Reiner list was focused on like damage reduction. So greater goal fits with Reiner really well. Also, I get to play this AOT card, Too Big to Contain, where I get to destroy face-ups. So basically, Reiner's going to take care of destroying face-downs, right? With the Ruin ability and with Armored Titan attacks. I need as many abilities that can ruin face-ups as possible. So that's in standard. I get to add in Disrespectful Banter. I get to add in Toguro's Dominance. I get to add in the Too Big to Contain. And have more face-up foundation destruction here, along with Final Words and Chomp, which stay consistent from the Spotlight deck. Then I get to add in a lot more 6-checks here, like League Interview. And I get to use Enormous Axe, one of Reiner's favorite cards, in Standard. All right, so that was it. I didn't get to play my December local qualifier because the Webcam Championship ended up falling on it. So what can you do? I was going to play one of the Star Trek characters. I think 7-Hand Size Sam. It was the one focused around tech attacks. I was going to play him and see how it went. But yeah, this was my year in review post-Worlds. I never finished outside top 4 at a local event. And I never finished outside the top 32 at a regional. So every 100-plus player event, I finished top 32. Every local event, I finished top 4. Yeah, it was pretty good. I would say it was a successful year. The one thing that I'm still missing to my name, though, and it's my goal for 2025, is I have still not won a major event. Right, I got 3rd place at nationals. In 2023 I top cut, I think 4 different events, never won any. In this year, I top cut the Webcam regional, I top cut the St. Louis regional, but both times I was bounced in top 8. So I'm still missing a win to my name. So I'm very, very hungry for that. And that is my main goal of 2025, is to actually win one of these events. I'm tired of just like, oh, yay, I top cut, good for me. And then I can win at my locals. I'm ready to take the next step and to actually start taking down these big events. So on to 2025. The first big event in 2025 is going to be Webcam Warriors. This is a webcam event hosted by Sam Tate, or Ace Maneuvers. If you watch his content, I think he's probably one of the best and content creators out there, because he's so intelligent when it comes to Universus. A lot of history in the game, a lot of knowledge, a lot of very unique takes. Highly recommend his content. So Webcam Warriors, January 4th, Sam will be streaming this event. Currently we are at, let me go check it out. We're at 29 players signed up for the event. This is going to be pretty good. This is this Saturday, guys, in just 3 days. There's been a lot of donations here. So like this pricing is just the tip of the iceberg. I think he had like a case of Critical Role donated from a Las Vegas store that's just opening up and wants to get Universus players. I think Undefeated at Locals donated like 3 boxes of Critical Role. And what I am going to do is that anybody who beats me in Webcam Warriors, I'm probably going to stream all my games. Anybody who beats me, I will buy you a solo leveling challenger deck for free. So come play the event. If you get matched up into me and you beat me, this solo leveling deck is all yours. Well, not this specific one, but you know what I mean. So this is the list I'm going to play. Is this like 4-check tribal Nejire deck? I'm going to treat this basically as like a locals. Like I'm still trying to win, but I'm also trying to have fun. So, this is my chance to play like my Around the World Amajiki or Bullet Punches Endeavor. I'm playing 4-check tribal Nejire Hado. Nejire, all 3 symbols were represented in Attack on Titan. So I'm playing this like knockdown blow, female Titan, beast Titan, very low attack ratio, build very, very quickly. Use a card like Unmatched Power, which is very funny with Titan attacks to give like +7, +8 damage. I can stay alive thanks to the minus speed on face. This was kind of the list that I was looking at playing earlier. It turns out I only have 3 Beast Titan attacks. So I think I cut the list down to, I think this was my 75 card list, and I've cut it down to 70 now to take out 1 copy of Beast Titan attacks. But I've got it mostly sleeved up here. Yeah, and this is the list I'm going to be playing. So if you want a solo leveling challenger deck, sign up for Webcam Warriors and come and play me. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you guys was that here's the rankings for Organized Play 2024. And I finished at 22nd with 80 championship points. I think this is not going to qualify me for Worlds on points. I already purchased my everything vacation-wise for Orlando to go and play in Worlds, because at the time I thought that even though I'm not technically going to qualify on points here, the invites will fall down the leaderboard because that's what they originally told us. So I'm basically guaranteed to be in for Worlds, because I know 16 Oceania players are not going to be showing up for Worlds. So it's going to fall, a couple extra spots on the leaderboard are going to open up, and I'll be right there on the bubble ready to snag those spots. Since they told us that actually it doesn't go down the leaderboard anymore, we're going to do this Worlds Festival. We're going to open up Worlds and do a last chance qualifier. Now, I actually advocated for that solution, so I'm very, very happy with the last chance qualifier. So I have accepted my fate that I am probably not going to qualify on points here from the leaderboard. I am going to either top 8 nationals, or I'm going to top the last chance qualifier and snag an invite that way. And to be perfectly honest, if I cannot top 8 nationals and I cannot top cut the last chance qualifier, I didn't deserve to be in Worlds anyway. I'm here to win these events. 2025 is a different David. I'm not happy to top cut anymore. I'm ready to win these events. Yeah, so, and it was kind of a locals game, right? To qualify for Worlds. It kind of became how many locals can you go to? And if you have tons of locals around you, then you're pretty much guaranteed to get in. The problem is like, I did have Midland and Lubbock. So I have 1 locals in Lubbock and then 1 in Midland. But I can't make it out all the time. I have 2 young children. I work full time, so it's a anyway, even if I had more locals in Lubbock is what I'm saying, I probably wouldn't have been able to play in more locals. I kind of depend on, okay, I can travel to these major regionals and I need to do really well at these regionals to get those championship points. So I'm looking forward to whatever organized play system they have for next year. Hopefully a little more skewed to the regionals rather than the locals, but that's a purely selfish desire for myself. But also, I don't think it's healthy to have the pressure at locals that I was feeling this year. Like, I was trying to have more fun, like this water Kurama list, right? I'm trying to have more fun and bring like a Kurama deck. But I remember feeling very stressed during my games because I also knew that I've got to make top 4 at this event. And that wasn't a fun feeling to have at locals. So I think that they need to take a little bit of stress off the locals and put them more on the regionals. But that said, very successful 2024. I'm proud of what I was able to do, and I'm pretty proud of my competitive record here. But what are your goals for 2025? Mine is to win one of these 100+ player events and actually make my mark that way. The set that I'm most excited for in 2025 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It just feels like the most nostalgic set, like a very collector-heavy set. We saw Godzilla prices being very consistently strong, and maybe that's because the Godzilla cards were just strong. But I think it's also because Godzilla just has a strong collector base. And so I'm looking forward to the Mutant Ninja Turtles and collecting those. Critical Role, I'm very, very excited for. Solo leveling is going to be fun. I watched season 1 and it was a great time. I'm kind of surprised. Well, I can't give spoilers. I'm kind of surprised at a few scenes that did not make it into the Challenger deck, but I don't want to spoil anything. Let's see. Attack on Titan. I love Attack on Titan. But Attack on Titan 1 and 2 just didn't quite do it for me. I think Attack on Titan 2 was the best designed set of the year. I love a lot of the cards, but I think the player base at large kind of had we had a bad taste in our mouths from Attack on Titan Set 1. Like, just look at today how hard it is to find determined advances. They're so expensive because nobody's cracking AOT 1 boxes. So AOT 3 I'm excited for, but I'm not as excited for as Mutant Ninja Turtles and Critical Role, which is funny because I'm much more of an Attack on Titan fan. And then the fighting games at the end of the year, those seem perfectly fine. They're not like they're not my thing. But Universus is my thing, and I'll be playing this anyway. And who knows, maybe I'll download one of these fight games, and it would be fun to play Guilty Gear, play some Street Fighter, and see how good I could actually get at these things. Maybe I could stream a couple of those learning sessions. I know Pippa on the team was telling me that they would help me out there with Guilty Gear. So that's 2025. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an awesome year. And let me know in the comments below what your main goals are. And in 3 days, I will see you for Webcam Warriors.